So Timmy ruined my whole day. I was on like this Katrina thing and it was making me laugh so hard. There was a time when I didn't laugh about it, but like it makes me laugh so hard because that was a section I should have always recorded. I didn't even think about it. It was just so like the strangest things happened to me. And I mean strange. And so my whole life has been this way, like from day one. Like the strangest things occur to me. And people always meet me and go, God, you are like freaking a wackadoo. I'm like, I know. It's been going on for almost 50 years. Since I was like 7. No, at my birth. At my freaking birth, I was a wackadoo. Because I came out my mom's, I came out in the bag in the hallway. And there was a black man and he was like mopping the floor. African American. And he was mopping the floor. And my mom crossed her ankles because she kept saying, I'm pushing. And there I was, floating in the bag. Ever since that moment, my life's been totally different. They call me a call baby, like call. It's like C-A-U-L. So I'm a wackadoo. So every time I go off to an adventure, like something crazy happens to me. So now I'm on the streets of Biloxi. I'm hanging with my homie. And the mama lady says, and I have pictures of her. I swear to God, I'm going to show them at the end. Like at the end of all the series, I'm going to show the pictures because it was so crazy. So when I went to Walmart to grab that stuff, I picked up 2 portable cameras because I had already burned through 4 of them. You know, Laura Bush, the whole 9 yards, and my phone was acting wacky, so I didn't even know what happened there. I know I got the Laura Bushes in there, but I didn't have time. So anyway, me and Holly going down the road one morning. You would get up fresh as fresh can be, get up in compassion, run over there, grab a little something to eat, some like crazy yucky thing they had, and like choke that down, and then just like jam, and no coffee. I could smell it, but I didn't know where it was at. And they had their 2 RVs there, and I'm thinking, like, this is not adding up. Like, why do these pastors have these like RVs that they sleep in, and you can hear them running at night? And it was like, we're sleeping in the sweat, and you're sleeping in there. Nothing against religion. So anyway, so me and Holly are going down the road, and we know we have crackheads. And we're just like, how are they getting crack? Like, every time they crack out, it makes a horrible night for us. Because they flip out on us. And that was where the lean-to people are. And I have pictures of them, too. So anyway, and actually one of those cameras took a few pictures, but it didn't take the whole roll. So out of the 4, one of them did a few of them, and that's the pictures I have. So, so everything's active in Biloxi. Like, things are happening, but it's just like shadiness everywhere. So one day, we pull up to Mama's house. She was like the first house we always hit. And it wasn't a house. Like, the house was all trashed up. And she has a husband. And she's living in this little trailer. And she's fighting with the people that are right there. They're like her friends, but they're fighting. They're beginning to fight about stupid stuff. Like, you took my spoon and this, that, the other thing. So me and Holly walk in and we're just like, oh my God, they're having a fight. Let's stop. Let's talk to them. Let's try to calm the situation down. So we stop and they're fighting up a storm. And Papa, who was her husband, they were drunks. And so she had a big old set. I swear to God, when I show you pictures, she's like my buddy for life. And so anyway, I go, Mama, hey, what about this side gig? And she's like, you know what? Come back tonight. I don't know what time because I don't have a freaking clock. And I said, it's such and such time. And she's like, come back tonight and I'll take you down that street. And I was like, and she goes, and there's a girl in there and her legs hurt. And I was like, and so for me and Holly, we were like, when somebody was hurt, we wanted to like drive them over to where the makeshift hospital was, even though those people hated me. And, we'll take her there and then they can't deny her, right? So anyway, every night I came in and I would have to go to the pastor's like RV and I see the coffee. And I'm like, I need a cup of that. And he wasn't offering. So I was just like, I'm not going to ask because I'm already like thieving. I'm stealing stuff out of the camps. I'm doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And the people are like my friends, like, like we're like family, like, because we hang together. And Holly's with me, and we're like trashing stuff up. And I swear to God, I still have the papers in my glove box, all the little papers of the items that we had to collect, and just this insanity. So I go get Holly one of those passes, one of those city passes at that place, that weirdo place where Eunice did the coffee every day. And but I never could find Eunice. Like, she was always somewhere I wasn't. So I talked to Mama, and she's like, come back tonight, and I'll take you down there. I was like, okay. So there was this one street, and they barricaded it in, and we couldn't get through there. And I'd drive by and just look, and I'd see these fires and stuff. Super creepy. And so I told Holly, we're going over there tonight. She's like, shut up. And Holly, she was like a farmer. She was like, she taught children how to grow food. Like, Holly was this badass. And she was vegan, and she had to start eating meat just to have food, because there was no veg. And so Holly was like this person, like, she didn't shave her legs. And you'll see her on my Facebook. Like, she is like the prettiest girl ever. But she doesn't shave her pits. She doesn't shave her legs. And she liked one of these guys at Camp Compassion. His name was Nathan. And he was a Christian guy. And so she didn't want to tell him that, she wasn't a Christian. And she was like kind of like a hippie girl / cool chick / like have fun, earn some weed. Well, I just come from my weed experience. So I didn't want to like smoke weed. But Holly's burning a bowl. I'm like, whatever. And so we go back that night, and we check on all our people, and they're freaking out and fighting, and they're starting to drink a lot and stuff. And they opened up a liquor store. And so it was like, are you serious? The liquor people like opened up, and they're Vietnamese people. And I'm just like, oh. Now we have them drinking. But they knew how to make hooch. So one night when I was going by, they're like, you want a drink? And I was like, oh, what is that? And I had never drank hooch. And so they were like, it's banana mash. And I'm like, oh, that's how they're getting drunk. Because the liquor store had opened, but they just had they had Lord Calvert and stuff like that. But these guys were making banana mash. My one little cluster of people, like, they were smart and thieves and liars and crackheads. And so sometimes when they were cracked out, they wouldn't talk to me. So Holly had her favorite people, and then I had my favorite people. So that night, we drift in about 9 o'clock. And Mom was like, okay. And so she jumps in the car. And so we get to the street, and they pull the barricades off. And she's like, park right there, and then get out of the car. And I'm like, and so me and Holly are walking up, and they had those big oil barrels, and they were burning a fire in there. And I was like, oh my God. And there was 7 guys. So when we walked up, we were like they're going to jump us, they're going to do something bad to us. And Mom was like, here they are. These are my friends. They're not going to burn you. They're not going to do anything. They're cool. And the guy's like, so, they're sitting all together. And, when all this happened, stuff was flung everywhere. So they had all these lounge chairs. And they're sitting there, and I could see this, house. I knew there was a girl with a messed up leg in there. And so I come in, and I'm just like, hey, guys. Well, I guess when they see my tattoos, they felt at ease. And I found this out 5 months later. They feel at ease because... Oh, my timer's going off. So they feel at ease because my tattoos. So they felt like maybe I was cool, And so I was like, well, I am cool. And I would never, take away their ability to, I don't care what they're doing. Crack, drinking, I don't care. I love them, and the Christians didn't want to deal with it. And every night I had to tell the pastor some wild story. And so, I didn't mind telling him, oh, my tomatoes are fine. So we walk up, and we're like, you could feel it in the air. I look over at this house, and I'm like, she's in there. And so the guy was like, so what do you want? And I said, well, what I want is I heard there was a sick girl. And I want her to get, what she needs. So if you need me to bring back anything, I'll bring it for you, medicines or whatever. Because she had a really bad, injury on her leg. And it was starting to, get staph and stuff. And so I had heard about her, so I knew. Because it was one of Mama's friends. So basically we were in the hood, And so, and thank God I was from the hood. So the guy's like, and what business do you have here? And who are you? Where'd you come from? What's your name? And so Holly's just standing there, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, I'm not here to I'm not the cops. I'm not a rat. I'm not a snitch. And he's smiling, and then they, they all went at ease. So he screams at her, get out here. And I'm like, oh, this sucks, because I don't like to see men mistreat women. And so she comes hobbling out. She was pretty. She was a real tall woman, and she had shoulder-length hair. We had a picture of her too, and that one didn't develop because later they became my friends on that street. and it unbarricaded. So, I was in before it was, like, open, me and Holly. So we're like, can we take her to Camp Compassion? Or can we take her to the makeshift hospital? And he's like, no. And we're like, okay. Well, I said, can I get some medical stuff and then I'll come in here? And, if you say so, if you say I can. And then I'll treat her leg. And he's like, yeah, bitch needs to get, she needs to get to working. And I'm thinking, working where? Is she? She's in a house. And I could hear other women in there. And I'm like, so me and Holly get back in the car. And I was like, thanks, guys. Just let me know if you need anything. I'll bring it for you. And he's like, we don't need anything. Being really persnickety. And so Mama's with me. And she gets in the car. And she's like, that's what I was telling you, girl. And I was like, right. And she said, but you're good now. And you just go up to the barricade. They'll see your car. You don't need me with you. And just whatever you want to bring them. I was like, okay. So I drop her off, and she starts crying that night because there was a psychiatrist rolling around. Her name was Rain. I'm going to blow her up. And she came from New York City. And she had started in New Orleans and was totally giving them drugs. So she was giving them Klonopin. And Mama told me, she said she came by and asked me if I was stressed out. And I was. So I took this pill, and it made me feel really bad. And I couldn't even remember what happened last night. And I was like, no. Like maybe Benadryl. Like, Benadryl would be better. Just relax them, but not overly relax them. Because you have to realize, like, every 30 minutes, there's this alarm going off. Every single 30 minutes, they're getting yelled at. And every single, 30 minutes, they have somebody cruising by their house that they don't want. And Red Cross looks all super cleaned up. Me, I'm tattooed. So, I didn't look like them. Like, I was in the grunge with them. Me and Holly weren't taking showers yet. We weren't doing any of that. Our clothes were stuck to our body, literally stuck from the sweat and the stink and the drench. So we'd go check all our people. So she was crying. And I was like, what happened, Mama? Did somebody get in a fight with you, whatever, that day? And she said, no. This lady came with long black hair with glasses on. She said she was a psychiatrist. And I told her I was really stressed out. And she gave me this pill. And she said it was Klonopin. And I'm like, I gotta find that fucking psychiatrist. Is she crazy? Like, these people don't need sedatives. Like, they need, like, some Benadryl or something. That would take the edge off, and then they could cope throughout the day. Because you have to understand, like, people are busting their asses, trying to get their houses cleaned up on the inside. Some of them didn't have walls. Sometimes there was just a closet standing there with clothes in them. It was just when you see my pictures, you'll see what I'm saying. So I'm out to find the psychiatrist. Like, I'm going to ream her for doing this to my people. Like, don't do it. And I go to the next person. And they're like, yeah. So I hear about this, like, women house thing. And I'm like, those are prostitutes. So if crack is here and hooch is here and there's girls here, there's got to be prostitution. But for who, though? Who are they effing? So we go down to the National Guard that night. After we left Mama's, we went down and there was this big grassy area, like an empty park kind of area, right by the water. And I go to the National Guard guy, and I'm like, hey, boy, hey. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know you. I see you every night. And I said, uh-huh. And I said, so what's it going to take for us to get past this barricade? And he said, some food. And I go, what kind of food? Like, we knew we didn't have any food. So we were just like, whatever. I mean, we did for the people, but the styrofoam boxes were everywhere. Like, it's crap food. And he goes, a stack of pancakes. And so me and Holly are like, well, run up there to frickin' Waffle House and get him some pancakes. Bring it back, and then he'll let us in there because there's probably people stuck in that parking structure, and we want to get them out of there because nobody was doing anything. Just these little camps. Nobody was going out. Nobody was reaching out. Nobody was just, except for my friend Eunice and this French guy who was like our buddy. And Holly used to speak French with him, but he spoke English, but Peter, and then they would yak it up on French, bourgeois, that was someone. So that's the only three people that were out there, us, Eunice, and this guy. And Eunice was starting to crack. Me and Holly are riding hard. I mean, we're riding hard. So we go to the National Guard guy, and we're like, let's go, like, tomorrow night. So we tell him, tomorrow night we're going to bring you pancakes. Do you want anything else? Because we're trying to get in there. In the meantime, our crack camp, Bear was there. And this guy, Randy, shows up, and he's on a bike. I swear to God, it was the weirdest thing. We could hear music, and it was coming from somewhere. This just tickled Holly to death. She loved Randy, and he has subsequently died. And I have a picture of him too. And they called him Catfish. And so he had a radio, and he bungee corded that to a bike, and he used to drive in and out of the streets at night. But that was the first thing we heard it. So we were like, "Hey, Bear, who's that guy?" And he's like, "Oh, that's Catfish. He drives around on that damn bike." And we're like, "Oh my God, that's so funny." So that's when Holly met Randy, who was like her dear friend. And he was loony, and I mean loony. He wasn't on crack. He was just a lunatic. And they said all of us were like living in the shelter. Like we're a bunch of crackheads, and we just lived in the shelter. And you got to know each one. Like some of them weren't on crack, some of them, but they all did lean-tos, and they hung out together because they knew each other from the shelter. So when the storm hit the shelter, a bunch of people died, but they didn't. So here comes this Catfish guy, and he's in all black. It was so fucking hilarious now that I look back on it. And when he rolled up, we were like, "What? Is that guy crazy or something?" So Catfish comes up, and we're like, "That's ingenious that you would ride around and play music in Biloxi." He was going up and down the streets, and you never knew when you were going to bump into this guy after that first night. And they were like, "That's Catfish. He's so crazy. He's always playing music, you know." And so we're like, "Hey, Catfish, what's up?" And he didn't really want to talk to us. So he turns his music back on and he jams out, right? But then Holly met her little dear friend Randy, who was brothers with this other crackhead guy. And that crackhead guy used to like me. He used to try to corner me, trap me by the car, all that stuff. He was all into me. And his girlfriend was there too. But he used to try to get into me. And I was just like, "Back it up, buddy, back it up." And I tell Holly, we gotta go. And so Holly would save me. So that's those little people. And then there was a little drunk couple. So after we hit the ghetto place, we go around, and Mama's all upset, and I said, "Don't take that pill anymore." And I'm looking for the psychiatrist, and I'm gonna kill her. Like, she's messing my people's heads up. Stopping in at the Vietnamese guys, and this one Vietnamese guy, that's what he used to say, and I have pictures of it. It's so funny. I go up, and he's like, and it's exactly how he said it. "Help me." And so Holly and I were trying to figure out how to speak to these Vietnamese people. And so we'd stop by and bring them food and water, and we'd build hammocks with them, and we would find like materials, and we were talking about like maybe we can sew stuff together, these fucking pile of clothes that everybody kept sending. And we were like, I wonder if we can tie the jeans together and like knot them and then make like a hammock, because the Vietnamese people like to hang out in hammocks. And then our crackhead people from Mississippi were like doing lean-tos, and then our cement people were just on cement. So we were like trying to find them, some pillows, like put some clothes down on the ground. So we do that every day. So, this is Holly's best friend, Randy. First day she met him. And then Catfish is floating around on a bicycle, and he's playing music, which is really epic. So we leave there, we go back to the camp, and I have to report in. And sometimes they go to sleep in their RVs, and so they didn't want to talk to me. But this one night was imperative. Oh shit, my plants. Shit, I'm going to have to make another video. I got to go because I hope to God that's not hail.